He found out that a new occupation had been added to the list, which was ninja, one of the upper-class occupations. After leveling up, the occupation ninja was added to the list of available occupations. Leopold was wondering that while becoming a ninja would be good and all, so far that was still the only high occupation level, and the class called ninja and class specializing in assassination. Its origin could be traced back to the Eastern Kingdom. And he remembered Shinakubo from Chinaka class was also a ninja, and now he thought of her as a pretty amazing person and wondered if it's something a jobless person like him could ever attain. Well, there was not much merit in just worrying about it, and his occupation changed from carpenter to ninja. After leaving it aside, the first thing on the to-do list was making shurikens. Shurikens were throwing weapons made from his wood, boasting high-quality stats, high power, and high precision, and he successfully made shurikens. Then he saw a tree and threw a shuriken at it, and it was sturdier than he thought, so he decided to try the next three, and he also perfectly threw the other 3 shurikens. Just then, a boy named Nasuo came towards him and told him that he wanted to make an exception, and gave him his flame and decided to teach him well, after all. The others around him started screaming at him because he promised to give them it first, and then he showed his power by showing a fire ring, and he asked Leopold if he could do such a thing. He told him that if he bowed down in that instance, he could bless him with his knowledge and stated himself as the great mage Nasuo. But Leopold replied to him that he didn't really need it. As for fire, he could just light one himself, and thought that lighting a fire, the ranger's survival skill, would be the best. Then he started doing that, and he got a fire-starting kit created from the combination of a Hirota stick and a silk reed. Then he started rubbing it, and the fire was lightened up. Everyone was surprised by his action that just in the blink of an eye, he lit up the fire and told him that he should only be able to use magic if he chanted it. Then Nasuo told everyone that he was about to make some flames that were much bigger than Leopold, and he lightened up the flame and threw it inside of Leopold's house. The other boys shrieked and said that the likes of him tried to bring them down, so if he decided to discipline him and help him out, and stated that if he used the wood lying around, his flames would burn much brighter. But at that moment, the boys realized that the fire had disappeared. Then Leopold explained that his house wouldn't burn down that easily, as he had a fireproof ability after all that stunned others. They couldn't believe that he built a house that won't burn. Then the other boys went to Leopold and asked him to give them a little bit of flame, as they really wanted some, and told him that he was different from Nasuo, who would only go around showing his off to everyone. Then Leopold replied that he was very different from them and threw shuriken at them. After all, they were the type of person who would go around and try to burn someone's house down. The Leopold screamed that shurikens were burning and asked them that before it disappears, if they carried it over the woods, would they be able to bring it back. The boys tried to burn the woods, but that didn't happen, and Leopold explained that he already told them that the woods were fireproof and the fire doesn't seem to be a serious burn to him, but he felt that with it, the boys had paid the price for messing with him. Finally, all the boys left the area, and Leopold thought that he hadn't eaten anything since morning. Then he climbed the tree and got a mashed bay fruit to eat and considered himself lucky. For him, the house being in the middle of the forest was a big upside, so he didn't have to worry about food. Then he started wondering, and he saw mushrooms lying under the tree, and he used the occupation appraiser to check if there was any poison in them. He checked it and got to know that the mushroom was fine and ate it. It had a nice texture, and he felt that if he used its flavor, then he could probably make something delicious. He decided to have a mushroom party that day, started searching for other ingredients. And just by looking at the mushrooms, he could tell that it was poisonous. Suddenly, he found a mushroom called Tatsumeki, whose quality was 30, and got super excited, and he started searching for more mushrooms. At the same time, he saw a girl looking at 2 mushrooms and asking others which one to eat. Then one of them named Shivas, who was a thief, advised her to go with the blue mushrooms, pointing out that the red ones were more poisonous. Unbeknownst to them, Leopold was there, and he told her not to eat the blue one as it was a poisonous mushroom, and if she consumed it, she would get a very painful stomach ache. He advised her to eat the red one mushroom, Haranobori, as it was an edible mushroom. But the others around told her not to believe him because, as for them, he was one of the worst ones and was trying to say things that sound right to lower others' popularity. But Leopold said that Shibis was the one who was trying to sound right. Shibis said that Leopold was trying to trick her, and told her that he wanted her to believe in him. But at last, she said that she might pick the red mushrooms, but Shibis interrupted and said that she was just straight up taking Leopold's obvious lies and told that even his eyes were lying, and stated that he is going to bring all the blue mushrooms back. She replied that it can't be helped, as it was the fate she chose after all. That everyone went to gather up all the red mushrooms. Then she introduced herself as Akimi Leru Levelance from Year 1's Class 6 to him, and told him that he could call her as Akimi. Then he replied that what he saw was that she was a mage. She corrected it by saying alchemist. On the other side, the boys were thrilled and thanked Leopold that they got mushrooms, and with those mushrooms, Even though they were stuffed for medicine, they didn't have much for food. Liupin told Akemi that he couldn't just leave a classmate eating a poisonous mushroom. She replied to him that he really hasn't changed, as normally someone would try rising in the ranks of their own class, all the while teaching other classes incorrect information. He told her that he was in higher education classes, but he wasn't really good with ranks and all that, and asked him what would he like, salt or the lip kiss. He chose salt, and Akemi called him an interesting person, as he was the only one that wouldn't choose the lips instead. She gave him salt as well as kissed him on his cheek. The boys around there were astonished that she kissed Liupin, and a boy started calling it an illusion but knew that he hadn't eaten the mushroom then. Later, she told him that a kiss from someone in her family was said to harbor good luck, and she guessed that he might get some then. The other boys got frustrated and cried as she went and kissed him. Suddenly, he leveled up and got thrilled and thought that maybe her kiss really sowed some good luck. Liupin was wondering if the kiss could cause a level up, and indeed, many things that happened. He noticed that his new job was a stone crafter. Since he could sew many mushrooms, he decided to try making something for lunch and chose to craft a kitchen that day. He made his wood mallet and a forest stone chisel, deciding to make other tools. He contemplated that if he used them in unison on the boulder, he would obtain a wood-fired stove made from forest stone with a long-lasting flame. He successfully made it and started cooking, curious about how delicious tatsumake would be. Realizing the mushrooms were ready, he added the salt he got from Akemi for more flavor. He savored the delicious aroma and felt thrilled. You could now understand why they called it the king of mushrooms, and the other mushrooms were equally delightful, something he hadn't expected when he picked them. Unbeknownst to him, the principal and Yes Man were present and asked if he had indeed found a tatsumake mushroom. He replied yes, but soon realized they could see what he was doing using their black magic equipment. Both of them asked him to hand over the mushroom, offering to use all their power to get him out of the special class. However, Liupin told them that he had eaten it all. The principal and Yes Man got frustrated and left, calling him garbage. After eating the mushrooms, he felt tired and decided to take a quick nap. He also pondered that those guys who had visited before would be pretty annoying if they tried something again. In that case, Liupin changed his occupation from stonecraft to ninja and moved to a tree to distract himself. The weather was lovely that day, and he slept, finding it more restful than he had expected. A moment later, he noticed Monaka looking for him. He didn't want Monica to look up. She asked him what he was doing up there, and he replied by asking her the same question, wondering why she was there at night. She explained that she wanted to properly thank him for building a house for them, and had prepared dinner as a token of her gratitude. He thanked her for the food, and Monica laughed as he asked her why. She replied that it had been a while since she had seen him climbing a tree, reminiscing about their past when they used to always be together. Liupin then asked Monica to climb the tree, but she hesitated, as climbing trees was not her strong suit. Suddenly, Liupin came down and asked her to wait for a second, and in the blink of an eye, a ladder appeared. He offered to help her climb as she agreed. After climbing the tree, Monica commented on how luxurious the place looked and asked if he had gathered the meat and vegetables himself. He admitted that he hadn't and explained that there had been a party after the school entrance ceremony, so he had taken some leftovers. Liupin started eating, enjoying the delicious soup. Monica noticed some soup in his mouth and asked if she could ask him something suddenly. He wondered what it was, and she inquired if it was true that he had saved a girl from first-year class 6 who had fallen from a tree. As she asked, she accidentally fell from the tree, but Liupin caught her. He remarked that she hadn't cried that day, and she thanked him, feeling shy but happy in his arms. Liupin asked if she remembered when they were kids and she used to cry when she got hurt. She replied that she wasn't a baby anymore, but it had been a while since he had carried her, so it felt nostalgic. He agreed and suggested that he might as well carry her home like he did back then, ensuring she wouldn't get injured. Monica agreed, and he carried her to her house. Onlookers were stunned to see Liupin carrying Monica, as only the hero was allowed to carry the saints. The boys were surprised and frustrated, first seeing Akemi and now Monica with him. They reached Monica's home and she thanked him, feeling shy. She wished him a wonderful evening, and Liupin wished her a good night before heading back to his house. When he arrived home, he found Shinobuko inside his house. Shinobuko used her technique on him after calling him a filthy villain. After seeing Shinobuko in his house, Liupin asked what she wanted. Shinobuko called him a filthy villain and said that's what she should be saying. Liupin asked her why, after entering someone's house without permission at that time of night, she wanted to question him. She told him that Monica was falling from a tree, and he grabbed her mid-air before landing, and he found out that she was peeking on them. She told him that the movement was a ninja skill called rope throw that she had been training as a ninja since birth, but she still hadn't mastered that skill, so she was wondering why a jobless person like him knew how to master it. Liupin replied that he didn't know and called it just a coincidence. She accused him of playing dumb to the very end and told him that she had a trick of her own. She started using his technique against him, but he told her that it's probably useless to try to fight him as his current agility stats had reached 201 points after all. Shinobuko glared at him, questioning if he was making fun of her. Then she tried to hit him multiple times, but he kept dodging every single hit. Annoyed, she questioned him about his ghost-like movements. It was almost like he was a master. He told her that he had already told her it would tire her out as his endurance was 201. So for now, he decided to go to bed, but annoyed, she told him that if it was going to be like that, then she would rather put her life on the line. She carried on attacking him, but as earlier, Leopen dodged all the attacks and finally caught her. He decided to go along with her. She told him to go to bed, which shocked him. She asked if he decided to do that to her. In the next chapter, we see that there was only one thing that happens to a kunoichi once they have been captured. He asked if it was betting techniques. She corrected him by saying betting teaching or bedroom records. She told him that not only was he going to use betting tech on her, but he also planned to use it on Monaka. He understood what she was really worried about, so he stated that she thought that he would violate her and decided to defend her by attacking. He told her that Monaka was a precious childhood friend to him, so there was no way he would do anything to hurt her, and if anything happened, he wants to help her. That's why she need not to worry. Shinobuko stepped back and said that she let him off that time, but the next time they will meet, they won't hesitate to finish him off. After that, he thought of sleeping a little bit more. He fell asleep for some time, but awakened soon and saw that it was still nighttime. Then he felt something weird as the outside was too dark. He pushed the window and found that someone had put some kind of sweet over his window. He wondered who would do something like that. He suddenly realized that he was late. On the other side, Yes Man announced the end of the morning school orientation and told everyone that classes would start in the afternoon. But since it was the first day, there was something special for them. Their sponsors had prepared some lunch boxes for all of them and told everyone to treat themselves to lunch in the courtyard. Worried, Monaka was wondering about Leopen, wondering where he could be. Yes Man started distributing lunch boxes to the students and contemplated that the great oversleeping plan was successful. Right after Leopen had fallen asleep, he used his expert craftsmanship on his window so that Leopen guy was probably running his heart out trying not to get there too late if their sponsors could just see this. He had a good feeling about Leopen that he would be missing out on this as he seemed to be absent. When Leopen reached, he saw that there wasn't anyone left in the residential area and he thought he was really late. He noticed that one of the flags looked to be very dark, and he assumed it must be because of the treasure detection skill. But still, it was pretty amazing how he could detect something from that far away. He decided to hurry as he was already late for class, though no one's going to notice if he will be a couple of minutes later than he already was. He changed his occupation from treasure hunter to ninja, and he got the flag by climbing up. He again changed his occupation from ninja to appraiser. On the other side, Yes Man made an announcement that they must decide who would be the student council president. To decide it, they wouldn't be holding an election or a duel. It would be decided by a treasure hunt. They had hidden a certain something on the school premises that was supplied to them by their sponsors. If they were able to find it and hand it to him, they would be declared the student council president. Also, that item was in itself a present, and they could craft it as they liked, and it would still remain as the sign of the student council. After knowing everything, students found it pretty good and asked him about the treasure they needed to search for. Yes Man started the item as the pelt of a flying dragon, a pelt from the back of the mythical flying dragon Black Storm. While it was a large sheet, it didn't have any blemishes. The pelt was very valuable. Stunned, Leopen was looking for something so valuable doing at the place like that and thought it had to be a mistake. Anyway, he would bring it back and ask the teacher about it later. Yes Man told everyone that somewhere on the school premises he had hidden a rare item known as the pelt of the flying dragon and stated that whoever finds it first will be given it as a gift. In addition, that student will be declared the school's student council president. Everyone started searching for it, and he advised them that the pelt of the flying dragon had been placed somewhere, concealed by applying camouflage magic. Hang on if you're vibing with this content, and we know you are. Hit that subscribe button. We're a brand new channel, just 900 subs away from our 1,000 sub milestone. And let's get back to the story. And if they think effectively, it would be impossible for them to find it within a week. If they do find it within 1 week then, let alone student council president, he would be willing to give him his vice principal. Later, Leopen entered the place and apologized for being late. Yes Man got stunned while seeing him. Suddenly, Leopen, with the pelt of the flying dragon, asked him if he found that thing outside. He was in shock at how Leopen had the pelt of the flying dragon. He questioned him about how he knew that it was the pelt of the flying dragon just from looking at it, and for some reason, it was camouflaged as the school flag. Students around there got surprised while seeing the pelt of the flying dragon as it looked just like some black sheet, and they were questioning if Leopin was their student council president. Annoyed, Yes Man started shouting that he must have mistaken, though there was no way that was the pelt of the flying dragon. Leopin tried to state that it was real, but Yes Man disagreed with him and pointed it out as a random black pelt, calling it just some garbage, and allowed Leopin to do whatever he wants with it. He announced that since they're done with that, they can leave with it. Well, Leopin was contented since he found an amazing item. Then Monaka came and greeted him as good morning, but he corrected her and told her it was already noon. Amused, Monaka commented on him being Mr. Sleepyhead and asked him if it was fine with him if she shared half her lunch. But he told her that probably some lunch brought by the supporters or something, but she replied to him that if he doesn't eat properly, then he'll find the afternoon classes to be difficult. But he told her no need to worry about him, as he's got those to eat, so he was all good. Monaka advised him that they try a bit of each other's food, as she also liked to try his food. He agreed, and both of them sat together to eat. After that, Monaka suggested he open his mouth and feed him with her food. Leopin was thrilled as it was delicious chicken. They felt an alluring scent, and Akinu was there. She asked them to also have some of that. It might even be usable as an alchemical ingredient. She also asked Leopin to open his mouth and feed him. He also complimented it as wonderful. Onsuk and Shinabuko came there to bring back Momonaka, but Shinabuko also stuck with those guys. She said that she told him that the next time they would meet would be the last, and she was merely feeding him his last meal. Happiest, Monaka stated that still she has some left that she can give her. Onsuk started screaming, but at last she felt that it would be better to have a bamboo basket that suddenly fastened up, and all three of them offered him food at the same time. The other boys around them got shocked after seeing them all together and feeding Leopin. Vice couldn't believe his eyes and felt envious of Leopin as Monaka and Akimi, who were two of the top 5 in their school, were getting along with Leopin. It seemed to him as though, due to the new environment and all the hard work every day, he had become quite exhausted as he had even started seeing hallucinations. Then he thought, first things first, the reason for Monaka to be by Leopin's side was that she feels pity for her childhood friend and decided to impart her lovely kindness onto him. It was absolutely not due to any feeling of affection on Monaka's part, only a show of her charity towards a poor soul. However, he could not come up with an explanation as to why one of their school's most beautiful girls, who wasn't in any way related to Leopin, was hanging out with him. That meant it must be an illusion. There was no way that Monaka would try to protect a no-good person, so it was imperative that they don't take that as reality. Shibis was also frustrated because no matter how many times he approached her, she never showed any interest at all. He also freaked out about why the girl he humbly adores was hanging around there. Unbeknownst, Carol asked them to stop as the guys had been nagging for a while now. She commented that the guy Leopin was unforgivable, even though he was head over heels for her when he was in her class. Shibis asked if she was jealous or something. Annoyed, she replied that it just annoys her that goof like that would be getting all cocky, and that Shibis was the one who just made fun quite often. Carol stated that he was just a toy for her, and without telling her, they went ahead. Vice told them to stop those useless talks and to go. Carol stated that it was still lunchtime and questioned him about where he wanted to go. Vice replied that they were going to go and look for the pelt of the flying dragon. Monsoon said that because of that camouflage magic, it'll take longer than a week to find it. Vice said that's only if it was an average person like him searching for it, and he thought that Leopin probably thought that he can do anything if he becomes the student council president, so he picked up some random sheet for that. It was a really wicked and stupid way of doing things. Monsoon cheered up and stated that from then on, their class would act as a unit, and they will search for the pelt of the flying dragon. Vice added that until they find that pelt, the entire year 1 Class 20 will be absent from classes and development shall also be halted. At last, Leopin was full and thanked everyone. He told them if there was any more, all of their portions would be gone, and he leveled up. Monaka got excited after seeing the light from leveling up and felt amazing. She said that it seems the result of their fattening him up quickly showed. Leopin was surprised as he was only eating some lunch, yet he was able to level up, and his new occupation was a leather worker. The Royal Academy classes could be split into 2 groups, obligatory subjects and elective subjects. All of the elective classes seemed to be in the afternoon, and it also seemed like they usually discussed and decided the electives in class. Leopin realized that he was already in the accelerated education class, so he should hold back. There was a leatherworking class, and he considered it as pretty good luck. There wasn't a more suitable class for his current situation, so he decided to take it. He just happened to get his hands on the dragon's pelt and guessed that he'll find out what he can make with it. Stunned, the principal knew the whole incident as they finally managed to get their hands on that wyvern pelt and even held a grand selection for this year's student council president, featuring it as the prize, yet Leopin found it immediately. Yes Man started that there was something suspicious about the situation, as they definitely camouflaged the pelt with magic and hid it in an inaccessible location within the school. The principal told him not to give excuses and said that the mere thought of allowing trash to become the student council president was preposterous. However, the pelt had already made its